As we showed you earlier, former President Trump returned to Florida today ahead of his arraignment tomorrow in a Miami federal court.
He is facing 37 felony charges, including violations of the Espionage Act.
How will this affect the Republican presidential campaign trail? Charles Franklin is the director of the Marquette Law School Poll. Welcome back, Charles.
Hey, Charles.
Good to be here.
You haven't done any polls recently, but you've polled on this in the past.
We have. Beginning in September, we asked about whether people believe Donald Trump had classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. Just yes or no, he did or he didn't. About 2/3 said that he did, but there was a big party split, with 62% of Republicans saying he did not have such documents, 93% of Democrats saying he did, and a solid majority of independents saying he did. So this is sort of indicative of the issue here of what are the facts of this case and how people process those facts. We would hear people tell us, well, I don't think he had those classified documents because I think he declassified them. So you did hear people picking up the argument in defense of him back in the fall.
His own defense, words from his mouth.
Indeed. And what we saw over the weekend, of course, were a lot of Republicans defending him not on the details of the indictment, but defending him on the unfair prosecution, the politically motivated prosecution as they see it, and talking about it in that light rather than the specific allegations in the indictment.
He is still the solid front runner. A new CBS News poll, I think, came out yesterday that showed he's still way ahead. So how will this affect the strategies, do you think, of the GOP opponents?
I think we need to take a deep breath, maybe 2 deep breaths, and look at the short term versus the long term. I think the CBS poll and a couple of others over the weekend didn't show any evidence of a drop in support among Republican primary voters. We also saw a lot of Republicans coming to defend him, but we saw some, like Bill Barr, his former attorney general, being extremely critical of Trump and saying the indictment was really solid. So I think we need a week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks to sort of see how this plays out. Also, other candidates really struggle to know how to respond. And we're now seeing a few being critical of him, even as we see others leaning towards this is a politicized indictment.
And if he is indicted and arrested, does that affect his campaign?
Well, it complicates the schedule, of course, if he's making court appearances. I would presume, though, that we see a long period for this case to move forward. The prosecutors urged a speedy trial, but I think it's almost surely in Trump's interest to delay the trial, to raise objections and motions. So at this point, I don't think I have any clear idea of how fast or how slow this process may be, but there's certainly plenty of opportunities for Trump's lawyers to object to one thing or another to try to delay the process.
2 or 3 or 4 deep breaths.
Yes.
We'll see how this plays out.
That's good advice.
Maybe all the way through November of next year.
And then we can exhale, perhaps. I don't know. We'll see.
Thanks,
Charles, thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you as always. We'll have a